Welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping right into something that is, frankly, keeping a lot of Fortune 500 executives awake at night right now.
Yeah, it really is. And, the big overarching question for the business world today is, at what point does artificial intelligence stop being just like an expensive piece of software sitting on a desktop and actually start becoming the structural foundation of how a company operates?
Right, because for a long time, the software industry treated AI like it was just a, I don't know, a slightly smarter calculator.
Exactly. You bought it, you installed it, and you just sort of hope for the best.
Yeah.
But now we're watching this massive architectural shift unfold in real time.
Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. Are massive global companies just hoarding AI tools, or are they actually changing how their employees work every single day?
And we have some incredible data to answer that.
Hmm.
On June 3, 2026, Microsoft announced a staggering milestone for Microsoft 365 Copilot.
Yes, the numbers here are just wild. Three of the world's largest IT services firms, so that's Infosys, TCS, and Wipro, they each scaled this AI tool to over 100,000 employees.
Right, and the sheer scale of that deployment is just hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
We are talking about over 300,000 employees combined, deployed in under 6 months.
6 months. That's practically overnight in enterprise time.
It really is. And Microsoft reported that quarter-over-quarter additions in this specific cohort of large enterprises grew by over 250%.
Wow.
Yeah, and this surge pushed Copilot to a global count of over 20 million paid seats. Plus, the number of customers holding more than 50,000 seats has grown fourfold in the past year alone.
Okay, so let's pause and talk about the vocabulary executives use in the boardroom for this. When they discuss buying software at that massive scale, they call it an enterprise rollout. An enterprise rollout.
At an enterprise rollout.
And the metric they use to measure that initial purchase is paid seats. Paid seats. That simply means the number of individual user licenses they bought.
But, swiping the credit card for an enterprise rollout of 300,000 paid seats, that's actually the easy part.
It's totally the easy part. It's kind of like, imagine buying 300,000 premium gym memberships for your company's employees.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. You swipe the corporate card, the accounts are activated, and you send out this cheerful company-wide email. But then 3 months later, you wake up in a cold sweat, wondering if a single person has actually stepped on a treadmill.
Exactly. A high seat count doesn't mean anyone is actually lifting weights, so to speak.
Yeah.
If a company buys 100,000 seats and nobody uses them, that's just a catastrophic waste of capital.
So the transaction is not the transformation.
Beautifully put. The real story hides in the active usage data. That's where we see if employees are actually incorporating the tool into their daily routines.
Okay, so what does the usage data from these companies actually tell us?
Well, Infosys enabled over 100,000 users, and they reported over 91% monthly active usage.
91%.
Yeah, among those enabled employees, they explicitly framed this as embedding AI into how their people work, learn, and create.
Okay, wait, I have to call foul on that metric for a second.
Uh-oh. Why is that?
Because, 91% monthly active usage sounds fantastic for a press release, right? But let's be honest about human behavior.
Sure.
If an employee opens the application on the very first day of the month, asks it to rewrite like one single polite rejection email, and then never touches it again for 29 days, they technically count as an active user.
That's true.
So it feels a little bit like a vanity number to me. How do we know if they're actually building meaningful habits?
The data totally supports your skepticism. Measuring software adoption by month is a really low bar.
Right, it is. So in business English, the baseline measurement we hear is monthly active usage. Monthly active usage. But that doesn't tell the whole story.
Exactly. To prove a real habit is forming, you have to look at daily interactions. And TCS provided exactly that level of transparency.
Oh, really? What did they see?
They reported that over 100,000 associates are actively using Copilot every single day. That's an 86% daily active usage rate.
Okay, that is huge. So the metric that proves real behavioral change is daily active usage. Daily active usage. 86% of people relying on AI every single day is a massive cultural shift.
It really is. And TCS actually measured the specific impacts of that daily habit. They found 20 to 25% productivity improvements in several use cases.
Wow, up to 25%.
Yeah, and in certain workflows, the generation of insights literally doubled. But most importantly, they saw a 25 to 35% reduction in selective work cycle times.
Okay, what does that actually look like in practice?
Oh, well, think about a consultant analyzing a dense 200-page financial report. Previously, finding patterns in that document might take maybe 3 days of manual reading and highlighting.
Oh, yeah, lots of coffee and late nights.
Exactly. But with the AI embedded into their daily routine, they are extracting those insights in a matter of hours. The whole cycle of the work just compresses dramatically.
And when a company starts compressing those work cycles, they achieve what executives call a productivity uplift. Productivity uplift.
Spot on.
And the speed at which that uplift happens, the speed at which the company starts getting a financial return on their investment, is called the time to value. Time to value.
Right. And shortening that time to value is the ultimate goal.
But even with a fast time to value, I'm still curious about the depth of this engagement. Because if an employee is shaving 30% off their work cycle, they can't just be asking the AI to summarize long email threads, right? They have to be doing some serious heavy lifting.
Oh, absolutely. And we could see the mechanics of that heavy lifting in the granular data that Wipro shared.
Okay, what did Wipro find?
So they didn't just hit 95% monthly active usage. They reported that their employees are generating 7.5 million prompts per month.
7.5 million.
Yeah. And if you break that down to the individual level, they're seeing an average of 23 Copilot actions per user per week.
23 actions a week. So that means, what, 3 or 4 times a day, an employee is stopping what they're doing, formulating a request, and prompting the AI to execute a task.
Basically, yeah.
Doesn't that create a new kind of friction, though? If you are constantly having to instruct the AI, at what point do you just hit prompt fatigue?
Well, you hit fatigue very quickly if you just treat the AI like a search engine instead of a collaborator.
That makes sense.
To get to 23 actions a week without burning out your employees, a company has to fundamentally alter the sequence of how work gets done.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just slap a chatbot on top of a broken legacy process.
Right.
You have to undergo workflow redesign.
Workflow redesign, meaning you take a process that used to require 10 manual steps and you figure out how to collapse it into 3 steps with AI in the middle.
Exactly. But you also have to guide the human beings through that transition, which requires intense change management.
Change management. That is such a critical piece of the puzzle. It's really the psychological discipline of getting people to trust a new system.
It really is. It's the human element.
Because if I'm, say, a mid-level manager, and I've spent a decade proving my value by meticulously formatting spreadsheets, and suddenly an AI can do it in 10 seconds, I might feel incredibly threatened.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I might secretly hope the AI fails so I can just keep doing things the old way.
And overcoming that psychological hurdle is the hardest part of any deployment. But Wipro pushed through that friction, and the business outcome they reported is just staggering.
What was the outcome?
By redesigning their workflows and managing that human change, they're saving more than 250,000 full-time equivalent days each quarter.
250,000 days. Stop and think about the sheer volume of time that represents every single quarter.
It's massive.
But, if you don't redesign your workflow, all that saved time just evaporates into, like, longer coffee breaks or scrolling social media.
Exactly. The company doesn't actually benefit unless that human capital is redirected.
So where does it go?
Redirection is the key. You shift human bandwidth away from repetitive administrative tasks and point it toward complex strategic challenges. This is what Microsoft refers to as cognitive work.
Cognitive work. So we are not talking about scheduling a meeting or formatting a slide deck.
No, not at all. Cognitive work is deep thinking, strategy formulation, complex problem solving. And Microsoft reported that 49% of Copilot interactions now support this kind of cognitive work.
That is a massive shift.
Furthermore, 58% of users report producing work they simply could not have produced a year ago.
So the technology is literally raising the ceiling of human capability. But wait, if humans are doing more cognitive work and generating 7.5 million prompts a month to get the administrative work done, we kind of come back to that friction point.
Right.
At what point do humans get tired of constantly holding the AI's hand? Like, when does the AI just start doing the work autonomously?
And that tension is driving the most fascinating architectural shift in enterprise technology today.
Oh, tell me more.
We are moving beyond basic assistance, where a human types a prompt and waits for an answer to custom agent creation. Wipro actually reported that their employees, and not just their IT developers, but regular employees, have created over 29,000 internal agents.
Wait, 29,000 custom agents? So instead of a human prompting the AI 23 times a week to pull a weekly sales report, the human builds a mini bot whose sole job is to wake up on Friday morning, pull the data format the report, and email it to the team without anyone ever asking it to.
That is the exact mechanism. They have also built more than 60 enterprise-grade solutions that operate at a massive scale.
Wow.
And when executives talk about an AI that can execute a complex, multi-step business process autonomously, they call it an agentic solution.
An agentic solution. I love that term. I want to dig into a specific example of an agentic solution because the mechanics of how this works in practice are just mind-blowing.
Let's do it.
Wipro mentioned a use case regarding performance appraisals. They built a custom agent that reduced the effort required for performance reviews by nearly 70%.
Which is life-changing for managers.
Absolutely. Think about the anatomy of a traditional performance review at a 100,000-person company. A manager has to collect 360-degree feedback from peers, review the employee's goals from the previous year, look at their project delivery metrics.
That mountain of data.
Right. And then sit down to synthesize all of that into a cohesive 3-page narrative. It takes hours for a single employee.
Now imagine the workflow redesign. The agentic solution is granted secure access to the HR systems, the project management dashboards, and the internal feedback channels.
Okay.
When review season starts, the agent autonomously pulls the peer feedback, cross-references it against the stated goals, and analyzes the delivery metrics.
That's incredible.
And then it drafts a highly specific, nuanced performance narrative for the manager to review.
The psychological shift there is immense. The manager goes from being the creator of the document, staring at a blank page for an hour, to being the editor or the strategist. They review the AI's synthesis and add the final human empathy and context. You cut 70% of the administrative effort, but you arguably get a more comprehensive review because the AI didn't forget a project the employee completed 11 months ago.
And that transition from creator to editor across tens of thousands of employees is exactly why Microsoft argues the broader market is moving toward an AI-first operating model.
An operating model. So an operating model is the fundamental blueprint of how a company creates value.
Right. Microsoft's framing suggests that AI adoption is no longer just an IT deployment issue like, how do we install this software on our servers?
Right. It's bigger than that.
It is an operating model issue. Meaning, how do we redesign our entire organizational structure, our roles, and our processes around this new autonomous capability?
And when a company successfully transitions to that new blueprint and the majority of their workforce is utilizing these tools effectively, they achieve what the industry calls scaled adoption. Scaled adoption.
Precisely. It means the technology isn't just a pilot program for a few tech-savvy early adopters anymore. It is woven into the daily fabric of the entire global workforce.
And the 300,000 employees across Infosys, TCS, and Wipro represent the vanguard of this scaled adoption.
They really do. They are providing the blueprint for how large organizations transition from buying seats to building agents.
Okay, this has been an incredibly deep dive. Let's synthesize all of this complex data, the millions of prompts, the thousands of agents, and this crucial executive vocabulary into clear, actionable advice. Let's break down 3 crisp takeaways from this discussion that our listeners can carry into their next strategy meeting.
Sounds good. Takeaway number 1, licenses do not equal value. A 300,000-seat milestone is an impressive headline, and an enterprise rollout of that size requires serious capital. But a high-paid seat count only matters if it is backed by intense daily active usage. Opening an app once a month is a vanity metric. True value is only generated when the tool becomes a daily habit.
Perfectly said. Takeaway number 2 focuses entirely on the human element. Achieving real, measurable productivity uplift like Wipro, saving 250,000 full-time equivalent days, requires relentless change management and workflow redesign.
Yes, the software alone cannot fix a break in process.
Right. You have to intentionally design new workflows that elevate humans to focus on cognitive work. And you have to guide your teams through the psychological friction of giving up their old routines.
Absolutely. And takeaway number 3, the next frontier is custom automation. The future of the enterprise is not just humans chatting with a generalized AI assistant to summarize their emails.
That's just the beginning.
Right. The real exponential value lies in employees actively building domain-specific agentic solutions to automate their own repetitive tasks. Moving from manual prompting to autonomous agents is what officially shifts AI from a software tool to a new operating model.
It is a profound structural shift. I mean, we are moving away from a world where we simply log in to use a piece of software into a world where we actively build and shape the AI that works alongside us. We are turning our digital workspaces into real collaborative ecosystems.
And the companies that understand this distinction are the ones rewriting the foundation of modern business. One redesigned workflow and one custom agent at a time.
Which brings us right back to our gym analogy. The biggest companies in the world have purchased the memberships. The smartest ones are making absolutely sure their teams are showing up every single day, redesigning their fitness routines, and building serious operational muscle.
That's the real test.
Exactly. Now, we want to turn this over to you, our listener.
Sure.
If you were an enterprise AI buyer today, stepping into this rapidly shifting landscape, what would you care about most? The sheer number of seats you successfully deployed, the daily active usage of your team, or the actual fundamental workflow changes you achieved? Think about it, debate it, and let us know your perspective in the comments.